Now, Spain is all set to become the 6th country worldwide to legalize euthanasia or assisted suicide. The Spanish Parliament is expected to give a final approval to a law legalizing euthanasia. It will all allow the terminally ill or gravely injured patients to end their own suffering. While passive euthanasia is legal in many countries already, active euthanasia is legal in only 5 countries: the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Canada and Colombia.
In a plan to ensure its national security, the United Kingdom is planning to lift a cap on its nuclear warhead stockpile. Prime Minister Boris Johnson unveiled the UK's post-Brexit defence and foreign affairs strategy today. Johnson also announced in Parliament that Britain will pivot its foreign policy focus towards Asia. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, reaffirmed Britain's loyalty to NATO. The defence alliance says it's committed to nuclear disarmament.
A leap forward in the development of the Iron Dome. It can now deal with even more threats. Israel's missile defense organization and Rafael Limited defense contractor completed a successful series of advanced tests of the aerial defense system at a testing site in southern Israel, with the participation of the Israeli Air Force's air defense warfighters. Facilitated by the IAF, the tests were also intended to show the varied uses of the Iron Dome defense system, for example, protecting Israel's offshore natural gas fields, as was evidenced in a previous exercise in recent months.
A top North Korean diplomat on Thursday acknowledged the U.S. had recently tried to make contact, but also blasted the attempts as a, quote, cheap trick that would never be answered, until Washington dropped its, quote, hostile policies. That came from Chae Son-hui, North Korea's Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs, and its first formal rejection of outreach from the new White House under President Joe Biden. It's also coming as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visit South Korea, part of a trip around Asia that marks the first overseas visits by top-level Biden officials.
Some tragic news coming in. A MiG-21 Bison aircraft of IAF was involved in a fatal accident this morning while taking off for a combat training mission at an airbase in central India. The IAF lost Group Captain A. Gupta in the tragic accident. A court of inquiry has now been ordered to determine the cause of this accident right here.
Day after day, Brazil keeps beating its own tragic record. Health experts say that today in Brazil, there's a COVID death about every 2 minutes, like this family of 3, or this 43-year-old healthcare worker. They all lost their lives while waiting in line for a vacancy in an intensive care unit. Brazil's COVID-19 Observatory says the country is facing the worst healthcare system collapse in all of its history. Coronavirus units in almost all of Brazil's 27 states are at or above 80% capacity. And the situation could get much worse as winter approaches in the southern hemisphere.
He was known as the bulldozer for his single-minded campaign to rein in corruption and misuse of government funds. But critics say John Pombe Magufuli's biggest mistake was using the same tactic in the battle against COVID-19.
There are some Tanzanians who recently travelled abroad in search of coronavirus vaccines. These people brought the virus into our country when they returned. Let us stand firm. This vaccine is not good at all.
These comments were a step down from his earlier calls for more prayer gatherings to stop the virus. Ironically, Magufuli began his professional career as a high school science teacher before switching to politics in the 1990s. He came into the international spotlight after being elected president in 2015 in a tightly contested election.
the suspect, Paul Michael Murray, 31 of San Antonio, according to police, was acting suspiciously. And actually, regional law enforcement here got a warning from police down in several agencies in Texas, warning that Murray might be mentally unstable. He might have had access to a gun. And we do know that after Murray was detained by Secret Service here outside the vice president's residence, that police also found his car, which was a couple miles away in downtown D.C. And in that car, they found an AR-15. They found dozens of rounds of ammunition, high-capacity magazines. Of course, all those things illegal here in Washington, D.C. So that is why he is facing those charges.